reach a political agreement by the end of 2022 at the beginning. Now we're nearly the end of 2023, and the alternative, the plan B, let's say, is to be finalized and be a law by 2025. I'm not optimistic about this. I can guess that many member states of the EU will have some different opinions. The local law, the national law of every member state is a bit different and difficult to regulate. So I think that this conversation and this progress will take longer than 2025.
Thank you for your answer. Now I will give you my second question. Let's say that tomorrow morning it is voted, it is acted, so it is efficient, it is our reality,
Hello.
EU reality, the act, and we apply it. Okay, so it's enforced by law, directives that pass in the national legislation, which is the law, which is enforced in a good sense. I will recall the periods of prohibition in the States, potoapagorevsi. It was prohibited by law, but the smugglers always found a way to put through the barrels with the whiskey and the liquors, you know, through the channels and with the buses and so on and so on. Whereas a barrel of whiskey is a big thing and you can spot it and it's easy to detect because you can take out, smell it, say it's whiskey, so it's illegal. My question is, how is it possible to prohibit the use of artificial intelligence throughout the web, which is something in the cloud? You can't spot a barrel of artificial intelligence in the cloud, not to mention the dark web. Because let's say the cloud, we control it in a certain way. The dark web, how can we control the dark web? I mean, each and everyone has minimum knowledge of technology, can smuggle through the dark web any type of use which is not permitted. So my question is, do you consider it possible to enforce the act even if it is voted and applied to legislation?
And to add, Mr. Morganakis, to what you said before, what will happen if a law consists for the EU and not for other countries? For example, how can we be sure that this law, this AI Act, will be enforceable only Europe, when in the same time all over the world, other countries, other continents, won't have any regulatory framework? That's why we need global cooperation, global standards, and this act, these rules, will be same for everywhere in the world. Και να πούμε κιόλας ότι και πόσες παρανομίες συμβαίνουν στο εθνικό δίκαιο, στην νομοθεσία μας. We cannot be sure that it will be fully enforceable. Sometimes in the EU, Mr. Morganakis, the EU institutions are very good in the theory, but they have some issues in enforcement, in the practice. My point is that I truly believe that something that will be prohibited will be prohibited. EU will find a way. I'm not sure about the high risk level, about the high risk applications who will need an AI, ένα συμβούλιο, an AI council to enforce or not to be enforced, μια συμβουλευτική επιτροπή. Δεν είμαι τόσο σίγουρος κατά πόσο ό,τι θεωρείται high risk όντως θα εποπτεύεται από την Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση και θα τηρείται. Αλλά for all these applications that will be prohibited, I believe, because are things dangerous, like deepfakes, like biometrics, I think that you will find a way to prohibit these malicious applications, let's say.
Thank you very much. My third question was exactly that, and you answered it. what are the differences between the EU approach and US and China. So I would like to answer it myself in return.
Of course.
There was this joke, because as Alexandros knows, I like jokes. And it was in an American newspaper some years ago. It was Barack Obama, President of the United States. And it was, I have a blank now, the iPhone founder, who's dead now.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. He was on the telephone. He said, Steve, how can I get the fingerprints of all the citizens of the US? And Steve Jobs says, no problem. Fingerprint recognition to open the iPhone. And then he goes, yes, and how can I get the Face ID of all the American citizens? And he goes, no problem. Face recognition to open your iPhone. So this is the US approach. Exactly. If you want to use your iPhone or your telephone, you give your personal ID metrics. So let's take it to the China approach. They centralize everything and they have the citizen notification system. You do something good, you take a credit. You do something bad, they take...
You go to the jail.
You go to the jail. So this is a reality for the Chinese citizens. They live by that. Let's say that in Europe it is unimaginable that we will accept something similar to it. But are we sure? We have witnessed several transformations of the society that would have been unimaginable 10 years, let's say, ago. A recent example during the COVID period was the vaccination procedure. A recent example, again during the COVID period, was the isolation inside the houses and the obligation to send an SMS in order to take the dog to pee outside. So I fear that those approaches will have a tendency to the stricter ones and not to the more open ones. So let's say it clear. I fear that we will end up in the China approach, and not China will open up to the EU liberal humanitarian approach. So this is my fear, not to say my belief, and I would like to hear your opinion on that.
I think he answered perfectly the question, my question.
I did my homework.
I can see that.
AI.
Just what? I'm sorry for interrupting. I understand that most of you expect China to be more hard on regulating these technologies. Yes or no? Yes. All right. Well, we're talking about China for the moment. All right, you will be surprised.
Let's see this border. Some categories, and then they mark them. Strategy. As Mr. Morganakis mentioned before, state. The European approach is mostly human-centric, and the USA approach, as you said, is business, mostly business. The main approach of regulation in China is from above, from the state to the citizen. In Europe is something in between, and in the USA from below. The way they implement regulation is central in China, instrumental in the EU, and fully autonomous in the USA. The funding is, of course, public in China, public and private in the Europe and private from the private sector in the States. The temper, the way we think about regulation, in China they're positive to regulate AI. In Europe are skeptical. That's why we have all these dialogue conversations between the EU member states and the Commission and then the EU Parliament. And in the USA, they're neutral. To be clear, they don't care about regulation in the USA. It is soft in China, stricter in Europe, and let's say medium in USA. But I'm not sure about China approach. Maybe it's not that soft as I believe. Few things about the USA approach. Here. The USA National Artificial Intelligence Initiative was born out of the AI Initiative Act of 2020, which became law in the United States on January 2021. 6 key strategic pillars of this approach: innovation, advancing trustworthy AI, αξιόπιστη τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, education and training, infrastructure, applications, international cooperation. The USA's proposed approach to AI risk assessment can be classified into 3 categories: assessment, independence, and accountability, continuous review. The China approach. In 2017, the China State Council released its plan for the development of new generation AI, a first of its kind in China. The plan is positioned as a response to AI quickly becoming the new focus of international competition and proposed how China can become a leader in global AI development. There were the flags under the title: further regulation efforts around the world, some interesting paradigms. We can add some paradigms from Brazil, Israel, Italy, Japan, and United Arab Emirates. So, what they are doing in Brazil in terms of regulation of AI? Brazil has a draft on AI that is the culmination of 3-year proposed and builds on the subject. The document, which was released late 2022 as a part of a 900-page Senate committee report on AI, meticulously outlines the rights of users interacting with AI systems and provides guidelines for categorizing different types of AI based on the risk they pose to society. This is very similar to what EU does. What is the EU AI Act? The laws focus on users' rights, puts on the onus and AI providers to provide information about their AI products to users. What they're doing in Israel. In 2022, 2 years ago, almost, Israel Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, υπάρχει Υπουργείο Καινοτομίας στο Ισραήλ, σε αντίθεση με εμάς, published a draft policy on AI regulation. The document also described it as a moral and business-oriented compass for any company, δηλαδή όχι κάτι συμβουλευτικό σαν πηξίδα πάνω στις δουλειές τους, organization or government body involved in the field of AI, and emphasizes its focus on responsible innovation. More broadly, the draft policy encourages self-regulation and a soft approach to government intervention in AI development. Αυτό μοιάζει με την Κίνα λίγο, σαν προσέγγιση. Italy. In March, Italy briefly banned ChatGPT. Many of you maybe read this in the websites, in the newspapers, citing concerns about how much user data was being collected by the chatbot. Since then, Italy allocated approximately $33 million to support workers at risk of being left behind by digital transformation, including but not limited to AI. About 1/3 of that, some will be used to train workers whose jobs may become obsolete due to automation. Δηλαδή, τι έκανε η Ιταλία? Επένδυσε κάποια χρήματα στο upskilling και στο reskilling, δηλαδή στην απόκτηση νέων δεξιοτήτων και στην ανάκτηση και επικαιροποίηση των ήδη υπάρχοντων δεξιοτήτων. Αυτό θα γίνει και σε πολλές χώρες. The remaining funds will be directed toward teaching unemployed or economically inactive people digital skills in hopes of spurring their entry into the job market. Japan. Similar to Israel, has adopted a soft law approach to AI regulation. The country has no prescriptive regulation governing specific ways AI can and can't be used. Instead, Japan has opted to wait and see how AI develops, citing a desire to avoid stifling innovation. Δηλαδή, η Ιαπωνία θα περιμένει να δει πώς θα πάνε οι άλλες νομοθεσίες και θα φτιάξει ένα μείγμα από τα good practices, τις καλές πρακτικές άλλων νομοθεσιών. United Arab Emirates. Maybe you couldn't expect this country in the AI regulation, but there is a point here. Regulation isn't at the forefront of every country's approach to AI, of course. In the UAE National Strategy for AI, for example, the country's regulatory ambitions are granted just a few paragraphs. In some, an AI and blockchain council will review national approaches to issues such as data management, ethics, and cybersecurity, and observe at the same time and integrate global best practices on AI. The rest page is devoted to encouraging AI development in the UAE by attracting AI talent and integrating the technology into key sectors such as energy, tourism, and healthcare. Τώρα είναι παράδοξο μια αραβική χώρα να καινοτομεί και να πρωτοπορεί στην τεχνολογία. Ο λόγος που γίνεται αυτό στα Εμιράτα, όπου δεν έχουν σχέση με τις άλλες χώρες της Μέσης Ανατολής, είναι πιο προηγμένα, είναι γιατί έχουν ως εθνικό στόχο να γίνουν η καλύτερη, the best country of the world, μέχρι το 2071. Γι' αυτό και επενδύουν από τώρα στην τεχνητή νοημοσύνη και ψάχνουν να κάνουν startup εταιρείες. Παρακαλώ. That's innovative.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that it tries to stimulate cloud rainfalls.
Mm-hmm. So I will go quicker now because we don't have plenty of time. This is important. What recent regulation updates we have, I will say this briefly. This is the new Biden order. The White House is poised to make an all-hands effort to impose national rules on a fast-moving technology according to a draft executive order. President Biden will deploy numerous federal agencies to monitor the risk of AI and develop new users for the technology while attempting to protect workers. This thing happened like 2 weeks ago. Another update, the Bletchley Declaration. Governments, including the UK, USA and China, have agreed to work together to establish a shared understanding of the opportunities and risks posed by frontier AI. Δηλαδή βλέπουμε, παιδιά, σιγά-σιγά ότι ανά τον κόσμο αρχίζουν και ενδιαφέρονται για την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, αρχίζουν και αντιλαμβάνονται τους κινδύνους που υπάρχουν, οπότε γίνονται κάποιες προσπάθειες για παγκόσμια συνεργασία και στο να μπουν κάποια παγκόσμια standards. Some other updates, the G7 leaders' statement on the Hiroshima AI process. The G7 leaders, η G7 είναι η Γαλλία, είναι το Ηνωμένο Βασίλειο, η Αμερική, ο Καναδάς, η Ιαπωνία, η Γερμανία, είναι αυτές οι χώρες, have reached an agreement on the end of October 30, on international guiding principles and a voluntary code of conduct for AI developers. I will skip this, it's more technical. Area for improvement. Is the Act future-proofed? Δηλαδή μπορεί να προβλέψει τις τεχνολογίες που θα προκύψουν στο άμεσο μέλλον. Is it providing protection mechanism for individuals? This is the challenges that will arise for AI, the more stability, as we said, the geopolitical context surrounding AI's development, AI uses in defense and autonomous weapons systems. That's an important point. Γιατί είναι δύσκολο να λες ότι εγώ απαγορεύω κάποια applications, κάποιες εφαρμογές, αλλά ο στρατός να μπορεί ελεύθερα να τις χρησιμοποιεί. Αυτό θα δημιουργήσει αρκετά ζητήματα στο άμεσο μέλλον. Regulatory efforts in other parts of the world, like the US, the global standards we need to evaluate AI. You know, guys, this guy, Elon Musk, it's not fun to be regulated, but AI may need it. The conclusion, and Unemployment benefits. Oh boy, the robots replaced you too in the queue. Στο Ταμείο Ανεργίας. Okay, guys, this is me. This is my email. If you want to reach me out, my LinkedIn and my Linktree account. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitris. Before our lunch, we will have the ability to have a nice talk and have a panel discussion. And even before that, we will have to connect with a colleague in Portugal, Professor Dr. Carla Silva from the Atlantica University in Portugal, one of our colleagues. She was supposed to be here, but she was a bit sick. Hi, Carla, how are you? All right, can you hear us? Good, now it's time us to hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Can we? Yes.
Can you? I'm
Go on,
afraid
the
we
stage-
are
the
with a
stage-
delay.
I know there's a bit of delay. It happens. Now the stage is yours. Feel free to
Okay.
share your screen, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay. Thank you so much for this invitation. I would like to say greetings to all of my colleagues, the Portuguese colleagues who are over there, and the speakers as well, and to all the students that are listening to us. Before I start my presentation, I would like to start with a small provocation, okay? With the presentation before, some of you asked what is the challenge and how to control the dark web. Can we control the dark web? Can we control the artificial intelligence? So as a full stack developer and an artificial intelligence scientist, I say to you, no, you cannot, okay? You can't control the artificial intelligence in the dark web, because artificial intelligence will be just like a knife can be used as a arm, but the knife as used as well with a tool to cut the bread, okay? What I'm saying is what we have to found more efficiently is the communication between generations, the communication between Europe, China, and also America. Communicate with a global effort, I think so. And to do so, we have to embrace the highlighted, because in a few years, what I give to you some question. We can later discuss this. In about a few years, what is the main effort to artificial intelligence communicate with a global perspective? Two things: quantitative energy and memory. So this is two things that we don't have yet, but when we have, it will be a problem if we don't think to now what we will face, okay? Just we can discuss this later, okay? But about my presentation, I will share my screen with you.
Os participantes agora podem ver seu aplicativo. Você
think
está compartilhando a tela. Você iniciou o compartilhamento de tela.
I think you are already seen it. So
Yes, Carla, we can see it. Yes, thank
okay,
you.
thank you. So my title for this presentation with this project is The Future of Education with Technology. So as a artificial intelligence analyst in the European Union, we like as a full stack developer, our main problem is how to develop more technology, how to embrace this kind of technology. And when people ask me, what about this technology into society? So it will take too long to embrace this, because this is the motivation is the culture of each people. So my title is The Future of Education with Technology, from Unconscious Models to Conscious Reason, with augmented reality in education. So
Saiu da reunião.
our vision from this kind of perspective is the education with augmented technology should be rooted in belief that education is a powerful tool for growing society and for society progress, and also for individual empowerment. So we take three major concepts: augmented reality, unconscious learning, and conscious reason. So I think this is the three concepts of our conference and our belief in my presentation as well. So augmented reality is a technology that is deeper developing each every day. So the core principles, its application in education is also a challenge, because the teachers, the professors, even the students have to learn themselves into this technology. The training is already updating, so it has the obligation, it's mandatory to have this kind of training. And also 2 points that is very, very specific: unconscious learning and conscious learning. So unconscious learning is like the learning that we have before in our previous years. So it's traditional education, and conscious reason is highlighting the critical thinking of the process. So it's kind of a challenge to bring these two concepts all together. So critical thinking, it's like the in the unconscious reason. So critical thinking is what we want to do with our students. Our vision is empowerment, inclusivity, empowerment, adaptability, and it's a commitment to. It's also a challenge to prepare these individuals to drive into this interconnect world. So education should be a lifelong journey, and it is a lifelong journey, that it keeps learnings with knowledge, with skills, and also with values, as we said before. So in my presentation, I don't want to be a boring presentation, and I don't know, as Alex he has a unique talent to join all together in this training process of learning. But I will try not to be bored as well. But I don't know if I can do it so well as Alex have done. But I want you to embrace you in this training process, in this journey with my presentation. For instance, I would like to highlight the importance of seeing what has been the historic evolution of education, what is the limitation of the unconscious learning, also what is augmented reality in education. So in the historical evolution of education, it's a complex, and it's I believe it's a multifaceted journey, because it has been shaped by cultural, social, technology, and economic factors through an history. So this evolution can be broadly categorized into these several key phases. So for instance, The first one, it is a prehistorical to antiquity. The education was in the early stages of humanity civilization. Education was primarily a oral and centered around storytelling, verbal transmissions from people to people, the knowledge and the passing down the cultural and society traditions for one generation to the next. So this era saw the emergence of oral epics and mythologies at the earliest forms of education. When we passed to ancient civilians, with the rise of these ancient civilians, such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, and even Greece, more structured and formalized educational systems emerge. This society established schools and institutions for education of the elite class. So focus in subjects like philosophy, mathematics, literature. Ancient Greece, for instance, gave birth to the concept of academia. And while Confucianism, because we are talking about China, Confucianism played a central role in China education. When we pass through medieval education, we saw the dominance of religions institutions, particularly with the topic, with the example of Catholic Church in Europe, which played a central role in education, monastic schools, which established the trained clergy, stochastic, the dominant intellectual tradition. So education during this period was largely limited to the clergy and nobility. So when we started to begin with the 4th and 18th century, we faced Renaissance and Enlightenment movement. So it was a period marked by revival, interesting of classical learning and arts. So the invention of printing by John Gutenberg, for instance, in the 15th century, made books more widely accessible, contributing to the spread of the knowledge. So the Enlightenment faced reason, critical thinking, individualism, laying to the groundwork of modern education philosophy. When we pass to Industrial Revolution, the Industrial Revolution brought about significant social and economic changes, which in turn influenced also education. Mass education systems were developed to meet the growing demand of a literate and skilled workforce. So when we pass to the modern education, 20th century until present, the 20th century witnessed the expansion of public education, the growth of the universities, the emergence of new education philosophies. Notable developments were made, and establishing altogether and embrace the lack between university and colleges. So the middle 20th century was also saw an advent of education technology with televisions and also with computers. So the internet and the digital technology have further transformed education, making knowledge more accessible and also more interactive. So what about 21st century and beyond that? So education in 21st century experienced significant changes driven by technology. So driven also by globalization, focus specifically on the skills of the 21st century. So online learning, e-learning platforms, massive open online courses like MOOC have expanded the access to education. So concepts like prominis or personal learning, competence-based education, project-based learning are gaining more importance. So this has increased emphasis on skills like critical thinking, creativity, digital literacy, and adaptability. So it is important for us to notice that educational systems and practice have evolved differently in various parts of the world at different times. These historical trends is important to me to give to you the influence by cultural, political, and economic factors, and they continue to evolve and they continue to shape the technologies, innovations, globalization, and focus on preparing individuals for a rapid changing world. So, of course, what is really what is unconscious learning? So, unconscious learning, also known as implicit learning, as the concept of be close to the learner's conscience. They have to be awareness, and they have to be intention to learn. So they are improvement in this kind of learning process. So augmented reality is cutting this kind of gap. So has the potential to transform the learning experience. So what about this type of learning is contrasting with conscious or explicit learning, where individuals as actively and consciously engage in the learning process, and they are full aware of what they are learning. So this has the four main steps of what is unconscious learning. So this unconscious learning, what about automaticity, lack of awareness, inference and pattern recognition, non-declarative knowledge. So this is what it is, unconscious learning. So the learner is immersive on this kind of knowledge. So to give you some examples of what is unconscious learning, is language acquisition. If you think yourselves, or even if you think when we the first word that we have, how we learn to speak, it's kind of a process. If you think right now, how you learn to speak your native language. So you don't speak the first words without thinking of it. You know, you must think. The process in the brain is very particular brain. It's a unique organ that we have, because it's the same process that we want to proceed with artificial intelligence, because the brain has one part that when we try to speak, we have to memorize what the word is. So the baby, before the baby speak the first words, it has to be embraced. He has to be immersive with conscious, without this memory that he has from that kind of word. So language acquisition is unconscious learning. So when we try to speak, we have to embrace these words first, and then it's a learning process. Motor skills as well is like an example of unconscious learning. We don't think we want to make a step, you know, because it's a reflection of our muscles. So it is a conscious reflex or is a unconscious reflex. So when we try to nowadays, when we try to give our steps to move on, we don't think about that process because it's an unconscious process. So social norms or implicit bias is as well unconscious learning. Two steps from, or two examples from this unconscious learning. So the limitations of unconscious learning are very, very, there are too much limitations of unconscious learning. So limit control, lack of explicit knowledge, difficult in transfer, because implicit knowledge acquired through unconscious learning may not transfer well to different contexts or application. That's why when the student Demetrius was speaking before, in the beginning of our conference with Alex, he said, well, I can't, I work with this app, but there is a little difficult on that. So he was right, because this kind of limitations, technology limitations, is not open for everyone yet, okay? So limits for complex concept, because unconscious learning is more effectively for simple or straightforward concepts and skills. It may not be suitable for more complex or abstract subjects, like require deep understanding and critical thinking.
Saiu da reunião.
And that's why when our speaker was saying he thought about his presentation, and he asked ChatGPT to be more effective, to be more conscious, and ChatGPT didn't answer any joke, because technology hasn't this kind of embracement yet, I believe. So inefficiency for some tasks or skills may be learned more efficiently through conscious and deliberate practice, where learners actively engage in problem solving, analysis, and reflection. So this is kind of a limitation also in our augmented reality. The lack of difficulty in correcting errors. So errors or misconceptions acquired through unconscious learning can be challenged to correct, because learners may not even be aware that they hold incorrect information. So this is kind of very important note to be discussed and to be explored.
Ajoelho do THMF.
In contrast of this, conscious learning allows learners to recognize and address errors
Saiu da
more
reunião.
easily. So the lack of metacognition also is an important limitation of this kind of knowledge, because unconscious learning may not foster metacognitive skills, which are essential for self-awareness, monitoring one's own learning process, and applying strategies for improvement.
Ajoelho do
Limits for
THMF.
conceptual learning. So unconscious learning is generally more effective for procedure or even behavioral learning, like motor skills, for example. Relying on serendipity. So learning through unconscious process often relies on spontaneous exposure to information. So this means that learners may miss out on valuable knowledge if they are not exposed to the right stimuli or to the right experience. That's why we, professors and academia, and also the professional experts, we must learn the process, and we must engage with the process, and then transfer our knowledge to our students and to our society, okay? So in education, it's important to strike a balance between conscious and unconscious learning procedures and even approaches. While unconscious learning can be a valuable way to acquire certain skills and knowledge, it should be complemented with deliberate strategies, okay? So augmented reality takes various steps. It comes through various advantages to the learning process. So it's kind of like virtual reality. Augmented reality in education is cutting edge technology, is a potential to transform the learning experience, and it overlays digital content such as 3D models, videos, text, interactive simulations, or even physical world. It enhances the way students acquire and interact with information. So with professional development, also with the research and exploration, career readiness, collaborative learning, cost efficiency, immediate feedback, multidisciplinary learning, field trips and virtual tours, such engagement and motivation, remote and blended learning, personalized learning, real-world applications, accessibility and inclusion, and also enhanced learning experience. So this kind of concept, this kind of the way to read in education is a challenge that we want to embrace further and further, okay? So for enhancing learning with augmented reality, it involves leverage this technology to improve educational experience and also outcomes. So augmented reality has the potential to make learning more engaging, like we said before, but how? With visual complex concept, visualizing complex knowledge, dealing with the field trips and virtual tours, language learning as well, historic and geographic exploration, like the ones that Alex has demonstrated before with our hub, seeing the Athens, is in the Greece department. So it has the potential to engage with the problem solving, and we engage with critical thinking as well. And also it has immediate feedback. So what are the main structure of this augmented reality with conscious learning? We have to make this within the curriculum, not just on schools, but also in the higher education. It must be on our curriculum departments. It must be on the training to our professors, to our teachers, and help students to embrace this kind of idea, this kind of knowledge as well. So what is augmented reality games? What is the main challenge to do so? So this is a photo, a small video of, I have worked with the educational ministry in Portugal in some schools, and we developed some apps for the teachers in the schools. And this is for the geographical school, not a geographical teacher. He was teaching the students the nivel curves of the mountains. So this is what you see, is a sand. And when the teacher mixes the sand, our app, the app that we developed shows the temperatures and shows the levels of the sand. So this is what he's seen, okay? And when he put all the sand together, the students can see the mountains, the planícies, the nivel curves. It's a way of showing this. But of course, it takes too long to produce this kind of knowledge, and it is open in the classroom. So, but the challenge, also the ethical consideration, but the challenge of the classroom and also in the Ministry of Education is the cost and accessibility, is the privacy and data security, ethical contents as well. So accessibility for all, because this is just an app for 3 schools that work with me. It's straightforward for them. It's not open for all schools. It can be a digital device. It can be information overload as well. It has ethical use of biometrics, so it has security risk as well. And the impact of the human interactions is another challenge that we have to face when we use augmented reality in all of the activities of education, also in the classroom. So some of you pointed in the last presentations a question about what is the boundaries, what is the boundaries, even with the human interactions in artificial intelligence. It's as well the boundaries in this kind of technology. The boundaries is what give us motivation to do that. You know, we have regulations, we have the motivation to produce this kind of technology, but this can be used, this kind of algorithm can be used to a different proposals. So the main point of this, what I want to enlighten and highlighting to you is the importance that society be informed, students be informed. All of us are facing now more challenge and more modifications in the last 10 years than in the last 100 years in education. So this is a huge information for us. You have to ask yourselves what I want to do with this kind of technology, and not what technology can do, because the technology will do whatever we want to do. In the previous presentation, worked on the developing codes. So right now, the developers, as me, are facing some codes about the ethics regulations of coding. So this is kind of the main importance that the European Union has done, because in this kind of knowledge, we developers are facing the main problem. Okay. So this is two videos. This is not the videos that I have done. I work with two different apps. I developed two different apps to the medicine department of the University of Lisbon, and they asked me to produce something that work with the students in the classroom, because they want to show the heart and the heart circulation, and they want to use that application to make the education more immersive. So I thought, for instance, developing something with our glasses, VR glasses, and work with the scientific department producing this kind of knowledge. So the future of education is undergoing significant transformation. So driven by multiple factors. So in this app, the professor can, with the classes, can work with the picture and can work the main structure of the human bones. So the students has to use the classes as well to see what the professor are teaching. And the next one, the right application, you see the heart moving on. So this is kind of, it's not the same. This is what the application has done, and what application is doing in the University of Medicine in Lisbon in the classroom. The professors are using this, developing apps to produce this kind of knowledge to the next medicines. So this is another application that we use on the schools, the secondary schools, that was used to by chemical teachers to teach the nuclear molecules. So teaching what is a molecule oxygen, what is an atom, and what is a molecule. And when you join it together, you see different atoms together. So we developed 3 years ago, because I was in that project. We trained the teachers to use augmented reality and the classrooms and secondary classrooms. And what you see is something like this. We use this, okay? And this is not, this is a blank bought, and this is like a QR code. And when we use this QR code
Saiu
with
de
the image, we use, for instance, this kind of tablet. And when we face the tablet to the figure, it opens this figure like the ones that you already seen with Alex. So this is kind of immersive education. It's like different way to see what is sodium or what is chloro, what is water, and what is oxygen. So it's kind of different way to the learning procedure.
A
Okay?
Joana do THM Meeting.
I don't know about you, but the first game that I played was Mario's, and I don't know if you know about this game, but one of the educational professors said to me, I really want to embrace my students. So the secondary, it was a secondary school teacher, and he said to me, I want to embrace my students to involve in physical education, to jumping and
Por A
giving
Joana do THM
all
Meeting.
kind of activities in education, physical education. So I pointed to him some games, and one of these was this game, Mario's game. So this is not augmented reality. This is physical. This is with VRs, virtual reality, and the person needs to have the glasses and work like having an immersive environment into Mario's gaming. So it was my first gaming, and this was my first idea to give to those teachers, and they embraced this idea, and we are developing this in some schools, because the advantage is they have to jump and they have to with
A
kind
Joana
of
do THM
with kind of
Meeting.
a joke activities. They really are moving on. They are moving in physical departments. So this was like a first idea to those projects, and they really embrace this idea. This is kind of a real cool project for me. Another one, I don't know about you on Greece, but in the curriculum of physical education in Portugal, the students have to learn how to dance, and dance in different ways. So this is kind of a good idea for some students, but for another students, it's not a good idea. They even don't like to in classes learn how to dance. So this is an app I show to them if they want to proceed to this, and they like this idea,
Saiu da reunião.
because we can develop this for them. So this is dancerealityapp.com. If you want, you can check in the Google. So it does like this. So when we move to the where are the
1,
reds,
2,
the app
3,
goes 1,
A
2,
Joana do
3, 1, 2,
THM
3,
Meeting.
and
6,
teach all the
7.
steps. Okay. So this is kind of a real good idea to embrace the students, to be part of the
1,
learning
2,
process,
3.
and give them how to do it before even to do it on the class, because they are embarrassed of having classes with learning dancing learning. And this is a cool idea to give to them, because they learn the process by their own, and they learn the process kind of a gaming process. So this is kind of a cool way to learn. Okay, thank you so much for watching.
I would like to thank Professor Dr. Silva. Carla, thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. Now, before going to lunch, we have we have about 10, 12 minutes. I can see already people raising hands. They want to make probably questions or statements. So I would like to ask, if possible, to use a microphone. So, Yanis, if you just give me a sec so you can be given microphone. Thank you. Okay, if you could please tell us your name and make your statement, or if there's a question, please tell us who you're asking.
Με λένε Φίλιππο και θα ήθελα να ρωτήσω πώς θα μπορούσε όμως κάποιος να μάθει χορό με ένα κινητό στο χέρι, καθώς δεν είναι πρακτικά σωστό αυτό.
Okay, we've got a young person here, says his name is Philip, and he's asking how can someone learn how to dance keeping a mobile device at the same time? Carla, I understand this question is for you.
Yes, how to learn the?
I mean, how we've got a young fellow here asking how is it possible to dance, to learn how to dance and keep a mobile device at the same time? And I think this is a general question, because AR needs to be keeping a device, and is that practical always?
Yes, you can see on the app that I showed to you, okay? And you have to face the tablet to the ground, okay? And you see the steps on the tablet. So when the steps appear on the tablet, you should make the same movements, okay? You're learning like that at the steps. It's a learning process with a few kind of mobility learning. Step by step, you will learn how to dance. For instance, the different dances in Portugal, I don't know, I think in Greece is as well the same. Different dance has different steps, right? They are a pattern. They have to have a pattern. So the app shows the steps and you have to follow the steps just by doing repeatedly, automatically, you know?
Yes, and just to keep in mind that there has been great progress using this app. Now you've got lenses, you have specific glasses, AR lenses we call it, that you don't need to keep anything. You just see it in front of you. And it is a solution to a practical problem, like you are very right to say that.
In the previous game, in the Mario's game, you have to use the virtual glasses.
Okay, there's a lady at the back who wants to make a question. Could you please handle the microphone to the back? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Francesca. I have a question about the game that Miss Carla said about the Mario game, and also for the dance one. I think that we're going to miss a very special meaning. Physical touch and the visuals see each other to learn a dance or go for a walk and or for a run. Why to put ourselves in such a big technological new thing for me? And also I don't think it's nice. I don't know. For me it's a little bit curious to put glasses and dance and see the floor, have a tablet. Why all this stuff? Just to learn something that we learn all these years. We can see it on the television. We can put a YouTube video. I see it from my little sister. She's like 10 years old. She's put YouTube on and she learns a dance by watch it live in 5 minutes. Why to put this new technological thing? Why to go and technologize all those stuff in our lives? And okay, I'm into it in education and medicine. They help a lot. I'm into it and support it. But why to change all the things in a technological way in dancing, in cleaning, in anything? I don't know. I think that it's a little bit all the way change our lives. What do you think, Miss Carla?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for this. Is quite an interesting question. So my answer directly, you don't have to use it. So in the
Okay.
presentation before, I said unconscious learning has to be developed with conscious learning. So this is kind of the main idea and the main challenge for you, for the ones who are being trained for teachers, for professors in the classroom. So you don't have to use it, just have to use to embrace your students to learn. That's the full idea, okay? But of course, I was an athlete in the University of Coimbra when I was a student. So I give the full concept when you said we have to touch and we have to see and we have this experience with us. This is learning as well. Okay, this
Okay.
I don't defend that we have to um, take them away. No, we have to embrace this with unconscious learning. And with augmented reality, it's kind of a different tool to use. It's like a chair, you know? You use a chair to speak to your students, or you use the floor to speak with your students, or you use also augmented reality like a different tool to teach. And they are learning with a different process. Okay, that's the main idea. That's the challenge. Are you prepared to do that?
No, I am into it more to traditional teaching education. The teacher said shows the technique, the dance, anything, and the student do. Okay, maybe with the AI, VR technology, we could show some things, but not all the material, not all the education, not to expand the material that we have learned. I think that are important, but okay, I said again, I'm into technology. I use technology a lot, social media, all these stuff. I like them, but okay, in a way, maybe I think with the old traditional, I'm a little old for my age. I don't know. Maybe I will use them, but I'm not into it a lot. I don't agree with all these technology things. I don't know.
Okay,
Point.
thank you so much. We have another question from a lady on my right, and then other people will follow.
Hi. So I would like to raise, I am Argyropoulos Petraki. I am professor of physiology. So I would like to raise an issue about the things that Fragiski and Professor Carla have already discussed. The main difference among between when you have to learn the steps from AI or from a teacher or a YouTube video, it's that by repeating the steps with AI, you change the connection between motor neuron unit. So it's a different way of learning. You have to learn to do the steps because you learn the pattern. Your neurons learn the pattern. It is the connection between the muscle and the neurons, okay? It is exactly on the pattern. You have to learn it. If you do it, you do it. So it's just a process of learning. We do not want to leave the teachers on the side, but in some points, and especially in the clinical populations, it's the only way. The only way is to go exactly on the connection of the motor unit muscle. This is what
And if I may add, in education, many times we need to take into account various aspects which are not very obvious to the common eye. For example, sometimes we have to train people with special needs or with learning difficulties. And using technology for learning just steps may be a way to help students with these difficulties, with learning difficulties, to learn things in an easier way, in a way that's more suitable for them. And anyway, if I'm not wrong, Dr. Natalia Espirito Santo, which happens to be also the general manager of Atlantica University, our leader in this project, would like to make a statement. If you would like, please, Natalia, switch on your Microsoft and take the lead.
I don't know if you can hear me well. Yeah? Just to say some words. Thank you, first of all, to you all for being here. It's a very interesting conference, and thank you for our hosts here that because of them we are able to be in Greece, in Athens with you all, and I thank you also our national agency officer that is here from Portugal, and to Professor Carla and to all my team and all the partners in this project. For the universities, this is a challenge, and of course for everybody. I prepared just small tips that ideas that I would like to discuss, but I think we are all hungry and we want to go lunch. So very quickly, just to say, I was 7 years ago, more or less, I was in a congress talking about digital transformation, and someone, after the speakers' speeches, someone asked to all what you think that in 5 years, 10 years, we will not be doing, because robotization took place and augmented reality, artificial intelligence took place, and so what you think are the works, the professions, that the employments that we will not have because they are taken. And I think I don't have time to ask you the same. I don't know if you ever thought about this and about questions like our host told in the first place that even teachers and professors many times think, what will be my future? I think that these days everybody talks about the learning and learning and teaching process is centered in the student, so the student must learn from himself, and the teachers are those who are leading the way or showing some other ways, and you all can choose your way to go and the process and everything. And the technologies and the professors are here to help. But this is very challenging, and we have many risks as everybody already said. Manipulation is, I think for me, it's the most dangerous thing that artificial intelligence can do, and it must be very well, we must have a very good regulation of everything, and it will not be easy, but of course, universities must be prepared for this, and it is not in the future, it is yesterday. But the question, what do you think it would be not possible for us to do, or the other way, in 10 years, what are the professions that, the works, the employments that we think that must be always done by people and not by robots? If you don't have time, I will answer. Indeed, that audience, that it was very big. People said that I don't see that a robot will cut my hair. A hairdresser will be always a person. And the other profession that they said, babysitting or child educators must be always people and not robots, because I don't give my baby to a robot to be educated by a robot like a robot. And so, of course, first of all, we think the caregivers or medical nurses, but as we have seen, even in medical schools and in many films that you know, we see The Good Doctor and the other films and series, we see that even the surgeries, some medical procedures are done, it can be done by robots. But, well, it's just a point that I would like to give, to leave here, and thank you all for this opportunity.
Is there any other statement that someone from the panel wants to make? All right. Now, before going to lunch, just to let you know, and the people are watching online, that there will be a publication with the conference presentation and minutes, all included into this publication, and it will be sent to each of you, either watching online or be physically here. I think we have concluded. I think we have covered everything we wanted to cover. So we would like, on behalf of the whole Npeer team, to thank you so much for being here and to invite you to a nice lunch. So we have to go to the ground floor and we can discuss, we can continue our discussion for today, enjoying some food and nice drinks. Are we happy with that?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.